And what do we got going on today? Traditional lobster boil. How the heck do you do that? I got Jake Messier. He's all the way out in Boston, Massachusetts.
If you do have the live lobster, obviously you want to be holding him by the back. This guy might move a little bit, I'm not sure. And obviously they need their damn rubber bands on. We used to go to a lobster pound in Biddeford, Maine. This old crusty lobsterman, the guy had 3 fingers left. He had 2 pinchers and he would pick them up and he'd scare all the kids. And I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, you can just drop them into the pot. They squeal. I'm not sure if it's the air escaping from the thing or they're just crying. I'm not sure, but it's not a good sound to hear. So we pre-kill them.
Well, that's the way to do it.
You just take your sort of biggest, heaviest knife. I got a big sort of cleaver, which is easy. And you're sort of just gonna go.
Oh, out my head.
So I got a pot going. This is going to be boiling up pretty soon. Put about 10 cups of water at the bottom of it and a bottle of wine. $8 cheap wine, cheap white wine. And it sort of gives it a little bit more zest to your boil. I put some Old Bay seasoning and 6 garlic cloves in there. First things we're going to do is the onions, the potatoes in the bottom. They're going to be about 15 minutes. Again, I pre-cooked this guy earlier. Some people like claw meat better. Some people like tail meat better. I prefer tail meat. It's just a thicker, juicier piece of meat. This is the knuckle. And then really you got the tail. Wiggle, 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 and then it comes right off. You basically want to just cut down the middle and stretch this thing apart, and you get stuff that flies everywhere. Literally why they give lobster bits. You just put that apart, and then you got a whole lobster tail. Just popped right out.
That's why you're wearing the Dad's That Cook shirt, right?
I was just going to say that. Just wipe the counter off with it.
Every New England house has a set of these nutcracker things. So you got to get right in there, and I'm going to sort of show this, and you'll hear the crack. Oh, we get some explosion there.
Okay.
Wiggle it apart, and then the whole claw is going to come right out. And then you get this nice big piece of claw meat. So you got one claw, one tail. Then a lot of people, you take off the legs, you can rip off these little legs. You can rip these things off, and you can suck out the meat out of each individual leg. Yeah, it's a little bit of lobster meat.
Hardy New Englander.
Yeah.
It's like sucking the head off of a crawdad, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
It's the exact same thing.
But while you're waiting, would you mind telling us a little bit about your family and also a little bit about your health scare and what you've done to change your life and your diet around and your weight, because we are very impressed.
You've lost how many pounds?
Right around, I didn't weigh myself today, but right around 65 pounds.
65 pounds.
A whole person.
And during COVID, which is even more remarkable.
Right?
I'll be 100% honest. I was 262 on Christmas Eve. I was unhappy with where I was. I'd never even come close to being that heavy. And I decided on Christmas Eve that I was going to sort of, next day was going to be Christmas, and that was going to be my last hurrah. And then I was going to start losing weight. And I didn't do anything stupid, or some crazy diet that that you never be able to maintain, or if you eat a piece of bread at some point, you gain 5 pounds or anything like that. Just portion control is really what it came down to. And then just eating healthier. Just a change in diet. 2.5 years ago, I had a stroke. I was sort of like trying to figure out, okay, what do I have to change in my life? And I made some small changes, but really the weight was the biggest thing that I think I had to sort of get through. Always going to be a stroke survivor. So obviously, times we didn't talk about my family. My wife, Nicole, we've been together for this year. It's 20 years we've been together. We haven't been married, but we've been together for 20 years. And we have 3 awesome kids, 1 just graduated college. And then our daughter, Haley, is a senior going into her senior year at the University of Maine. So she went north and she has all the lobsters she could possibly want.
Yeah, really.
We have a 10-year-old named Jack, who is going into 6th grade. So
and both of you were in the military.
We were both in the military. Yep.
Yeah,
we met in Tokyo, Japan. We were stationed in Tokyo. I was there for 4 years and she was there for 3, and we met. We got a pound of clams here. We're using little necks. They'll separate so they look a little bit like this, okay? If your clams, after you cook them, still look like this, do not eat them. Throw them away. Like 100%. Don't try to force them open. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna drop these lobsters in there. So these guys are going in. When you're doing a lobster boil in New England, there's really only one thing to have, and that is a shandy. 2/3 beer, 1/3 lemonade.
Oh, okay.
It's very
Narragansett is a Rhode Island brand that's been around for a long time, and they make the best shandy because they use Dell's lemonade out of New York. And so they use Dell's lemonade, and they use their beer, and you get shandy. So this is our summer beer. They're starting to turn orange, which is good. So these guys are starting to cook.
Yeah.
So we got potatoes, we got onions, we got lobsters. Now we start with the good stuff. The clams go in next. So the clams go in.
Oh yeah, get it.
The clams in there.
So you take your corn on the cob, break it into about thirds, okay? Those go in there. And then your linguica, which we talked about earlier, linguica sausage. That gets dumped in there. So all of this stuff is going now. But basically, you know, after this is cooked for about 15 minutes or so, I use some chopped tarragon. I got some fresh tarragon. You want to take a couple of sticks of this and melt it down so you got melted butter. And you want to put this into your ramekin. So split it up. Remember, we're doing this whole pot that we're doing is for 4. So if you got a family of 4, 2 lobsters, about a pound of clams, that amount of corn. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your butter in the 2 ramekins. You're going to put some of this water that you're boiling all this stuff in with the wine. That's going to be your rinse water. There's nothing worse than taking a bite of clam and just crunching. I mean, we've all been to the beach and you get some sand in your mouth, you get that crunch. You take your water, you take your clam, you swish it around in the water. That's going to get rid of all the excess sand. If there are any particles of sand in the fresh water, you swirl it around there and you drop it in your butter and then you eat it.
How beautiful that is.
Wow, that looks amazing. Hey, there's the
Poor kid.
Come on up.
He had a surgery.
Yeah.
We're gonna make them be the
So
taste test.
they're going to
All
be
right.
the tasters.
oh, wow.
So this sea bass was caught yesterday. Yesterday, out in the ocean.
Really?
What do you think?
really good.
I think it's insane.
Yeah.
No,
Is it really
it's
fresh?
really good.
How's your boil?
How's your boil doing? Because we're eating dinner.
Well, and we're getting there.
We're just a couple minutes away. Ready? Oh.
Oh, look at that.
We're getting there. I mean, the lobsters aren't quite done yet, but
you
we're
can
getting
see
there.
the color change.
And the color change has been pretty significant. And then, so our clam's starting to separate a little bit.
Right here.
So, I mean, it's going to separate more as it boils more, but yeah, you're going to see that a little bit more. That's about it. I mean, in 10 minutes we'll be eating, or 10 minutes we'll turn it off, then it's going to cool off a couple minutes, then we'll be eating.
And it's almost midnight there, right?
It's 24,
So
right?
I better drink some more.
Right.
Bingo, bingo.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks for sharing your knowledge on all of your killer lobster killing. All right, I'll see you guys.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.